on Facebook. So continue to rip it, brother.
You said you're okay, right? Okay.
Right.
Good evening. One of the things that I saw, and I'm just going to kind of segue into your question. Being at Solid Middle School, I was at Solid Middle School for, this is my 9th year, and we were able to see cultural changes go on within the school district. We were able to see cultural change specifically for our building. And those cultural changes, I'm just going to give you a day at the beginning of this. When we first walked into the building, we walked in, and all the students were in the auditorium. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Over 1,300 students in one room. Needless to say, when we walked in, and the reason it was because the culture of the school was different. The culture was set so that the teachers would get to class when they wanted to get to class. School started at 7:30, we wandered about 7:45. This was the norm. And we sat and watched it. When we walked in, a fight started out. We had to live by grade level. Fight broke out in 6th grade, fight broke out in 7th grade, fight broke out in 8th grade. Adults running to break these fights up. To the point of the first week of school, I think we may have suspended about 15 students. And this was upwards of 9 days. One of the things that I noticed was as we spoke to these students, my first year as an administrator, we looked at it and my answer to everything was suspend. They had to get out of it, you can't be dealing with it, you got to go. But when you start talking to them about why they do, and what they do, and where they do, and how they do, once you get to understand how that middle school mind works, you're able to affect positively what you want them to do. Now we change the culture, and I have to say this, we changed the culture. This is year 9, we had the lowest amount of suspensions in the school district, we had the lowest amount of students in back on the school, we had a high schedule in the school district, and that's because we effectively changed the culture of what our expectations were. Now the question then is, after we do this, and behavior is not an issue, what do we let them do? You let them teach and learn, and what they're wanting to do. The question then is, what is it that you want to become? Now that you're not a behavior issue, what is it that you find that you're able to do? When I ask this question to a lot of students, they truly do not know. What they want to be is what they see on television. They want to be basketball players, they want to be football players, they want to be rappers.
Basketball what?
They we're talking. Okay, I was talking about the guys here. They want to be basketball wives, and they want to be a meteorology. And when they're done, you can even see the behavior play itself out in the schools. You can see the way that young ladies have morphed into this caricature of themselves. And that's one of the most powerful pieces that I noticed. Adults, we've got to step into the forefront of what our children should become. That's the first thing. Another quick story. Had a child, and probably this was 2 years ago, and the young lady came in, and she had all this little, we have uniform policies. She had a pair of shorts that stopped about right here. Really cut deep. Probably from last year, it looked like she outgrew. She had a top that came on. She had already started blossoming, so of course she had everything, bricks and groceries coming out everywhere. And we sat there and said, well, let's call your mom. Look at my phone, we call mom. Well, I'm at work. I'll get there when I can. Okay, you do it again. Take the child, put down ice. This child missed instruction for an entire day. So about 2 o'clock, we're sitting there. I'm kind of in my office, and I look out the front door, and all of a sudden, I see a person come through the door. Mom comes in, black cat suit. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Black cat suit. 5 inches, 4 inches. And she walks in just completely out of order. Of course, all of the male students is happening during the class change, so all of my 8th graders were in the hallway, which affected a whole other change. Because they see mom coming and say, wow, this is what they see on television. And we bring the child in front of the mother, so I don't see what's wrong with it. Well, obviously you don't, ma'am. But here at Sauer, this is how we carry ourselves and meet the expectation. Here's a flyer. She takes a child home. Probably say about maybe 2 days later, she then withdrew her child because she didn't want us to tell the child anything. That then begs the question, what are we teaching our children to become when we become old people? What will our community look like when we're done?
Would you say to a part, I mean, and I would love to have people comment about this part, where are we then? I mean, now, you're talking about Sauer Middle School.
Yes, sir.
We were talking about programs that you have individually in JPS, PALS program, and again, we're affecting these numbers. Brother Spears works on a statewide level. Is there any difference? Is there a difference in what the things that he's talking about? Is there a difference when you go to the different parts of the state?
Well, first I want to preface my comments by knowing that. Yeah, I have credit. I get trouble. So I have credit.
Thank you, brother.
On purpose, yes, I do work with the state private education, work with the curriculum and instruction. But at the same time, that's what I do to earn a living. But at the same time, I'm not poor. I believe to be a community-minded black man, Christian first. And so a lot of my perspectives are informed by not just what I do to earn a living, but what my experiences are growing up as a child of a product of a single parent household, things of that nature. What do I see around the state? Honestly, I see a lot of the similar situations that Mr. Armstrong has talked about. And I'm a person, I'm a little bit deep. So I like to see things that happen. My background is sociology. And you go around the state and you see disparities. And you see things, and we've talked about excuses. And I don't like excuses, but I do like reasons. And there's a difference because none of the reasons justify dysfunctional bad choices. Okay? But reasons do explain reality. Okay? What the officers, the sheriffs, and the police officers, and Armstrong, and Brother Keith, and all these people have described are reality. And if we want to start looking at solutions to the realities, we have to start understanding the reasons behind the realities. Not saying that any young man is justified in sagging pants. I don't want to talk much about sagging pants because then I probably would create more empathy to frame it. But the reality is that if we are truly concerned, truly committed to really seeing what I like to call the kingdom of God on earth, we have to really begin to understand the reasons behind the reality that we see. There is a reason why all of us would sit up here and talk about being raised by single parents, and interacting with young people who've been raised by single mothers and things of that nature. There's a reason behind it. There's no accident that black men are disproportionately represented in our prison systems and our juvenile populations. Give an example, y'all were here. Hinds County now talking about making it illegal to sag pants. Okay, yeah, I don't want to see those raw people, but my God, how many young black men you gonna lock up that? Yeah, how much is it gonna cost? And what's that gonna do to solve it? One thing I do see when I go around the state is that there's some districts that have mandatory uniform policies. There's some that don't. And I like to talk about the 9 districts that we all hold up as par excellence, star districts, so to speak. Okay. Talk about Patrick and Gulfport. And talk about Clinton and Madison. Talk about Starkville and Lamar County. And talk about Southern County. How many of them have uniform policies? How many of them are talking about pulling up pants? The question becomes, well, why don't those kids sag their pants? Why do our kids sag our pants? Is it cultural? My teacher might say it's structural. Because the question becomes, you from a reflection of your environment or something else. Not an excuse. Not an excuse. You see somebody jump off the bridge, you ain't got to do it either. But if that's all you ever see, anybody ever do it. Do he speak the King English? No. Does he wear a suit tie every day? No. But he's a young man. What do we see when we see our young men? Do we see dysfunctional culture? Or we see the possibilities of excellence and creativity? There's no accident why he's under there. So when we go around the state, I see friends. I see realities that are caused by residential segregation. I see realities that are caused by concentrated poverty that result from residential segregation. I see realities that are a result of us protecting class privilege because people can live where they want to live. We first moved here to the city about 5 years ago, and my wife was naive in a house on in Madison County. And the fascinating thing about it was that house is there, same size house, in here in Jackson or in Iowa or anywhere else, cost like $15,000 more. The question comes, well, why? It'll tell you what. We got good schools up here. We got good schools. That costs $15,000? Yeah, it does. And the fascinating thing about all this is that we have the answers. The question is, are we too comfortable with the status quo to really get to the solutions?
Good segue point. I like that because again it goes back it brings us right back to the dialogue again of what we're supposed to be saying to boys. We're going to open this up to the audience. We're going to talk to Gerald because the reason why I got Gerald Mumford up here, I know his mom is Vicky Mumford. How many brothers do you have? 2 other brothers. What do they do? What is this microphone?
High school administrator and law school at Southern University.
So you're talking about 3 young men and boys who grew up. Mom had a big influence on their lives, and they're very successful. Talk about what your life was like to bring you to where you are right now. There's a reason why we're doing that. Because again, we pointed out the fact that we have young men who are going to prison. We have young men that can be in body bags. We have all these things that are going on. We've talked about the fact that enough conversations are not being had. We want to now start moving to what type of solutions happen in your life as to how your mother influenced you. And then open this up to talk about, to see what opportunities are out there. We got Jed back there, my guy Jed House back there, who talks about, kids going to prison. That's an issue for him. We have another sister here from New York who talks about the fact that kids are